Hello everyone, it's me, your Vijay sir. Welcome to your social science class. Dear children, today we are going to learn lesson 13, Directive Principles of State Policy, Class 7 Civics. While framing the Constitution, our leaders dreamt of a welfare state. Now let's see what is a welfare state. A welfare state is one in which the state guarantees social and economic development of its people. Creation of the welfare state, children, by providing its people with good living conditions, education, employment, right to an adequate means of livelihood, fair distribution of wealth, and many more. Features of a welfare state. A welfare state is responsible for the well-being of every citizen. It aims to provide social and economic justice to all its citizens. Children, social justice implies that there should be no discrimination on the basis of caste, race, gender, or religion. Economic justice implies that reducing the gap between the rich and the poor. A welfare state guarantees equal opportunities to all its citizens. A welfare state also guarantees a fair distribution of wealth. Now let's see what are directive principles of state policy. The directive principles of state policy are the guidelines or principles given to the central and state government of India to be kept in mind while framing laws and policies. The principles have been inspired by the directive principles given in the Constitution of Ireland related to social justice, economic welfare, foreign policy, and legal and administrative matters. The directive principles of state policy are given in Part 4 of our Indian Constitution, children. Once again, I am telling these are the guidelines or instructions that the governments are expected to follow. These principles aim to establish a welfare state, children. A citizen cannot go to court if the directive principles are not followed by the government, children. Directive principles are therefore non-justiciable. The directive principles of state policy may be classified under the following heads. 1. Principles promoting economic equality. 2. Gandhian principles. 3. General principles. Now let's learn about them. Principles promoting economic equality. Directive principles direct the government to ensure all citizens have the right to an adequate means of livelihood, fair distribution of wealth and resources among the people. This means that the wealth and resources of the country are to be used for the benefits of all citizens. Just and humane conditions for workers. Humane means showing kindness, care, and sympathy towards workers, children. Equal pay for equal work for both men and women. No discrimination should be shown on the basis of gender. Assistance for the unemployed, the old, the sick, and those with special needs. All citizens enjoy the right to work. All workers get a living wage which would enable them to meet the basic needs of food, clothing, and shelter. The meaning of living wage is here, children, salary that enables people to maintain a normal standard of life. Participation of workers in the management of industries. Children and youth are protected against exploitation. The meaning of exploitation, children, treating somebody unfairly in order to benefit their work. Good example is child labor. Gandhian principles. Mahatma Gandhi believed that the development of individuals was tied to the development of the society. He laid stress on rebuilding villages, promoting cottage industries, and ending all forms of inequalities. Some of these ideas have been included in the directive principles of state policy. Now we are going to discuss them. Children, now let's see Gandhian principles which are included in directive principles of state policy. Organize village panchayats. Gandhiji always believed that if villages develop, automatically a country also develops. Promote cottage industries. Yes, children, cottage industries also play a major role in the development of a country. Promote educational and economic interests of the weaker sections of society children, like Dalits and Adivasis. Improve public health. The government should take all measures for the well-being of its people. Modernize agriculture and animal husbandry by using all latest methods for more yielding. General principles. The directive principles of state policy contain certain principles on justice, law, administration, foreign policy, environment, and monuments of national importance. Some of these principles we are going to discuss now. General principles of directive principles of state policy are: provide equal opportunity for justice and free legal aid. Separate the judiciary from executive. Judiciary means courts of law. Executive means, children, an organ of the government that enforces laws. Promote international peace and security. Protect and improve the environment and safeguard forests and wildlife. Protect monuments, places, and objects of national importance. Fundamental rights and directive principles of state policy aim to protect the rights of the citizens and to establish social and economic equality. However, there are a few differences. Now let us see the differences. Differences between fundamental rights and directive principles of state policy. Fundamental rights contained in Part 3 of our Constitution. Directive principles of state policy contained in Part 4 of our Constitution. Fundamental rights aims at protecting the basic rights of the citizen. Directive principles of state policy aims at establishing a welfare state. Fundamental rights binding on the government to ensure these rights to every citizen. Directive principles of state policy guidelines for the government to follow. Fundamental rights. A citizen can go to court if his or her fundamental rights are violated. Fundamental rights are therefore justiciable. Directive principles of state policy. A citizen cannot go to court if the directive principles are not followed by the government. Directive principles are non-justiciable.